When I really started to focus on my happiness. I feel like women, we tend to focus on everybody else's happiness.
She has been with me every step of the way, like through the ups and downs, the bad, the ugly. She know ins and outs, everything.
You know, my sister and I, we have been trying for a few months now. I mean, we can only do, family, but at the end of the day, it's about self-love. And when you start to really work on your...
She knows it all. So it's like, I'd rather share that with somebody, for the rest of my life than someone who don't know you. And then when...
For as long as they could remember, Tia and Tamara Mowry were a duo, a twin set that everyone knew about. Their names were always said in unison, their faces always side by side, their stories intertwined in a way that made it impossible to think of one without the other. Growing up, they had their moments of playful rivalry, but they were sisters. They shared everything, their dreams, their fears, their experiences, and of course, the same birthday. It was the kind of bond that seemed unbreakable, but as time passed, even the closest of relationships faced changes. Tia Mowry has always been a woman of many talents, but one thing she's never shied away from is speaking her truth. It wasn't until recently that she openly began discussing something that had been on her mind for quite some time. The question on everyone's lips: why has Tia been distant from her twin sister, Tamara? The bond between them seemed like something that could never break, yet, for reasons only known to them, they found themselves walking different paths. But this was no simple tale of growing apart. No, there was much more to it than that. In a recent interview, Tia opened up about the real reason why things had shifted between her and Tamara. It wasn't just a matter of changing priorities, as many people had assumed. It wasn't as simple as one sister deciding to focus on her family while the other took a more personal path. What Tia shared took fans by surprise. She explained that, as she had gone through her own personal journey, she had begun to realize that she had outgrown some relationships in her life. And yes, that included her relationship with Tamara. At first, many people thought Tia was just being mature.
And just say if everything was great, you don't know if it's genuine. You don't know. You don't know if it's real. At least I know.
Seems like you and your sister have a special bond.
Yeah?
I mean, how similar and how different?
Tia got my back, to the grave. So I know she's with me, and she knows I'm with her. And that's just, everything's not perfect.
Setting healthy boundaries as she focused on her own growth. But some fans weren't buying it. A fan quickly commented on one of the interviews, claiming that Tia had always been dismissive of Tamara, even going as far as to say that Tia had been selfish toward her twin on their reality show. Tensions were brewing, and it was beginning to feel like the bond that everyone admired was fraying at the edges. What had once been seen as a light-hearted sibling relationship, a dynamic full of shared love and laughter, was now turning into something a little more complicated. It wasn't hard to see why people were speculating. While Tia was focusing on herself, growing into her own woman post-divorce, Tamara seemed to be doing the opposite. She had settled down with her husband Adam Housley, built a life with their kids, and had become very close with their mother. Her life was grounded in the traditional values she had grown up with, and she made no secret of her love for her family and the way she was raising her own children. And then there was the fact that Tamara's in-laws owned several wineries in Northern California, a world that seemed far removed from Tia's more glamorous, fast-paced life. The contrast between the two sisters was hard to ignore. Tamara was living a calm, traditional life, focused on her family and the business she had joined, while Tia was out there, navigating life as a single woman, trying to figure out who she was outside of being a wife, a mother, and yes, even outside of being a twin. In many ways, Tia's journey of self-discovery was necessary. Divorce has a way of making you reevaluate everything in your life, especially the relationships that you hold dear. After her marriage with actor Corey Hardrict ended, Tia made it clear that she needed to focus on herself. She had been married for 14 years, and while the marriage had brought many beautiful things into her life, she realized that in the end, her happiness had to come from within. She wanted to rediscover who she was outside of her marriage, her career, and her identity as half of a famous twin set. The shift was evident to fans who had followed Tia for years. At first, it seemed like she was thriving, embracing her new single life and focusing on self-love. Her Instagram was filled with positive affirmations, personal growth moments, and glimpses of her newfound independence. But as the weeks and months passed, some fans began to notice something else. Tia didn't seem as happy as she was letting on. It wasn't just about feeling free, it was about the loneliness that came with the territory. As Tia embarked on her journey to find herself, she admitted that one of the hardest things about her divorce was not having her sister, Tamera, by her side. In a heartfelt moment during her interview, Tia admitted that she wished she could call Tamera, especially during the most difficult times. Her struggle with loneliness was something she had never expected to face. After all, she and Tamera had always been there for each other through everything. The idea that she couldn't turn to her twin sister, that the bond they shared was no longer the same, was painful for Tia to come to terms with. "I've always wanted that family dynamic, where you have both your mom and dad in one household," Tia shared. "When you're dropping your kids off, you actually see how that's no longer being a reality. It's times like these when I feel and wish that my sister and I were still close, and I could pick up the phone and call her. But that's just not where we are right now." Fans could feel the heartache in her words. But Tia wasn't the only one going through a transformation. As she found herself, Tamera, too, was on her own path. While Tia was going through a major life change, Tamera was settling into hers. She had her family, her career, and her place in the world. But even as Tamera seemed to have found her footing, the gap between the two twins seemed to grow wider. One fan observed that Tamera had found herself, but Tia was still searching. "When you're on the path to find yourself, people don't understand you," the fan wrote. "You're all over the place. I think that's exactly what's happening here." It made sense. Tia was evolving, and sometimes, when you're in the midst of personal growth, it can cause a disconnect with those closest to you, especially someone like a twin sister who has been there for every moment of your life. But the distance between them wasn't just about their changing lives. There was
Seems like you and your sister have a special bond.
Yeah.
I mean, how similar and how...
Marriage is work. I'm not here. Let me.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm not gonna be here like, everything is raw. You have to work hard, to stay.
something else that had begun to brew beneath the surface, something that had been quietly simmering for a long time. Fans began to notice moments of tension in the past, especially during their reality show, Tia and Tamara. While it seemed fun and lighthearted on the outside, viewers could see glimpses of friction between the two. Tia had, at times, appeared dismissive of her sister's opinions, and even when they disagreed about things as trivial as parenting styles, there was an underlying tension that fans couldn't ignore. Then, there was the issue of Tia revealing too much about Tamara's life. Some fans felt that Tia had been quick to share details about her sister's personal business, sometimes crossing a line in the process. It was almost as if Tia was willing to open up about everything, even things that should have been left private. Tamara, on the other hand, had always been more reserved, a private person who preferred to keep her life away from the public eye. It made sense that this difference in approach to their public lives might have caused some friction. As the fans dug deeper into the situation, some began to notice that the sisters hadn't been posting together as much. Their once shared social media moments had become few and far between. Tia was embracing her solo journey, while Tamara continued to live her life with her family. The contrast between their worlds was undeniable, and it led fans to wonder, was there a deeper issue here that neither sister was willing to address publicly? But even with all the tension, there was still hope for reconciliation. Many fans, especially those who were twins themselves, held out hope that Tia and Tamara would work through their issues and come back together. "Tia and Tamara will fix their relationship," one fan wrote. "I'm a twin, and as many fights as we had, we always apologized. R.I.P. to my twin. The bond between twins is something special, something that can endure even the toughest of times." But not all fans were so optimistic. Some felt that Tia had been selfish, particularly when she announced her divorce on the same day Tamara released her book. The timing seemed off, and some fans felt that Tia had made it about her when it should have been about her sister's achievement. It was clear that there were mixed feelings about Tia's journey. Some fans understood her need to find herself, while others felt she had been too focused on her own growth and less on her sister's needs. Yet, one thing was certain. No matter how complicated things may seem, the bond between Tia and Tamara is far from over. There's always room for growth, healing, and perhaps even a renewed connection. But what do you think? Is Tia simply on a personal journey of self-discovery, Or is there something deeper at play? Will the Mowry twins find their way back to each other, or has the distance between them grown too wide to cross? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and while you're here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more updates on this evolving story. With Tia and Tamara, who knows what's going to happen next?